Hello and welcome back to Josh Davidson Books, my author channel where I'm currently going through an author's commentary reread of my first novel, Werewolves Hide, as a part of my preparation and work for working on the sequel, Book 2. So this is going to be the fourth video in the series. If you are just finding me and want to not have any of the story spoiled, please consider purchasing the book. It's only $4.99 in digital format. It's on Amazon. There's a link in the video description. Click on it. It'll take you there. If you aren't sure if you want to buy the book and you want to hear a little bit more of the story, I am just straight up reading from the book that took me a really long time to work on, and I'm offering my author commentary throughout the process. So behind the scenes thoughts, character thoughts, ideas that I had, things like that. So we are at chapter 4. And as I mentioned at the end of the first book, I wanted to know a little bit more about Lacey, how they met, and what Lacey and Bo are doing together, considering the night of trouble that Bo gave Lacey. And so we do that. So chapter 4 begins 20 years earlier. So young Lacey sits in the middle of a confined, dark living room. The only light source is the bright white CRT television screen she is plopped right in front of on the floor. Her silhouette blocks out whatever is being shown. A yellow hair tie holds up her short black ponytail. The white gauze patch on her left eye jostles feverishly from the unseen movement behind it. Lacey's right uncovered eye is the only way she can see anything, but due to her brand new injury, she hasn't gotten used to closing her eye underneath the patch yet. Her right eye squints as she tries to focus on the report entrancing her. The news anchor on the television sternly reports, "Late last night on Highway J, about 4 miles east of Blue Ridge proper, a single-vehicle accident involving a red sedan occurred. The crash happened near mile marker 17, and details of what caused the incidents are still pending further investigation. The sheriff's office was able to confirm with BRN that so far, no foul play is suspected. Out of respect for the families involved, we cannot comment on the injury status of any of the vehicle occupants at this time. The story is developing and will be updated when more information becomes available. Around the break, Blue Ridge's baseball guru is going to take us through his predictions for who can make an early playoff run this season." What's funny is, normally news shows, I think, tease the actual names of the sports anchor or the anchor that's going to be joining them, and I didn't want to have to create a new character unnecessarily, so I just gave them like a nickname, like, yeah, our baseball guru. I didn't want to give that character a name and have to come up with another name for a character that may or may not matter. Lacey immediately crawls over to a small bookshelf on the living room's edge and pulls several books off the shelf. She looks at their covers and tosses them aside until she finds the right one, the yearbook. Her hands quickly flip through random school activity pages and class photos before getting to her grade. She skims through the kids in her class and then focuses on Sam and Bo. So here I'm insinuating that Lacey goes to school with Sam and Bo and knows that they were in a car accident and is worried about them because she saw it on the news. So here we are, so several years later, so not quite present day, but several years after the night of the car accident. A teenager now, Lacey is sitting in the back seat of a police car. Her eyes both appear normal, and she's wearing a waitress outfit. An officer from the front seat speaks back to her through the glass. "Have a good day, sweetie." "Thanks, Dad." She grabs her purse and gets out of the car. Once outside, she waves goodbye to her father through the passenger side window and walks toward the front door of Joe's Diner. The big red sign atop the entrance goes well with the rest of the diner's retro aesthetic. Lacey makes her way through the sparsely populated lobby across the black and white checkerboard floor before arriving at the employees-only area. Opening the door, she briefly glances back toward the cooking kitchen and sees 2 hands feverishly grilling burgers and buns. She gulps and continues walking through the door. In the back of the diner, which for the diner, I really wanted just this classic, you know it when you see it, you can smell it when you read it, a diner. A retro-esque, small-town Wyoming diner. So I did not belabor the description there, but my assumption is with the few pieces of information that you had there, that you would be able to put together an image in your mind. In the back of the diner, Lacey walks past the steam press compactor breaking down boxes and makes her way to the time clock. Once there, she finds her time card on the wall, punches in on an old-school time punch machine, and then puts her card back in its place. Next to the time clock, which again, I guess that's author's choice. I called it old school. I could have said vintage. I could have said analog. I just wanted to use the phrase old school. There are worn-out wooden cubby holes with masking tape labeling each employee's storage area. They're mostly faded, except for a brand new Lacey tag in the bottom corner identifying which one's hers. She puts her purse inside and heads out to the front. Later in the day, Lacey is working the busy lunch hour. The diner is full of Blue Ridge Park employees who have come down from the mountain to eat together. They do this almost daily during the week. It's the best shift for tips. It's also the fastest way to wear your legs out and get blisters on your feet. Lacey makes her way to the cooking and cleaning rooms with her arms full of empty fry baskets and dirty glasses. She starts to stumble but stands still for a moment to catch her balance and hold it together. Marching past the sizzling and greasy grill, she finally arrives at the sink where the busboy uses the ceiling hose as fast as he can to try and keep up. Just as he grabs the last dirty dish to wash it, Lacey unloads her two arms full of dirty dishes into the sink. So I've actually worked at a grocery store and a restaurant where this type of dish work is needed, so I could, very realistically speak to the descriptors. And also, of course, just as a person living life, I've observed plenty of restaurants with this kind of, dishwashing style. The busboy glares. Lacey grits her teeth and half smiles. "I'm really so sorry." She keeps staring at him while he glares at her. She slowly walks away backward while stammering. If I could wait the tables and wash all together to help you, I would. I really would. But I gotta get back out there. Lacey turns around to hightail it out of there when she accidentally bumps into Bo. He was turning around to try and put some food in a basket. Lacey's collision caused him to drop the burger basket on the floor. Lacey couldn't be more embarrassed. Her face is as red hot as Bo's is from the flaming grill. Oh no, oh God, Jesus, no. She's mad at herself for making this kind of impression on him. Bo doesn't look down at the basket, back at the grill, or anywhere else but into Lacey's eyes. She continues her stuttered apology. I just didn't see you. Bo smirks. It's okay, I didn't hear you. So, we got the explanation of the phrase. Slightly. We'll get a little bit more details in a little bit. Here, let me help you. Lacey kneels down to try and pick up the basket. Bo immediately kneels down after her to insist on not needing her help. No, it's okay. Really, I got it. As he kneels down, she looks up to see what he is saying, and they crack skulls. Oh, ouchies. Lacey winces in pain. You got a hard head, Bo exclaims, his pain right back. He hurriedly picks up the basket and tosses it all in the nearby trash. Lacey stands up and wipes her hands on the front of her waitress gown. Bo hands her a towel. Thanks. Lacey takes the towel and wipes her hands as well as her gown. Don't mention it. Bo gestures for her to keep the towel, and he grabs another one to keep using for himself. So when you're telling stories, at least for me, and in my opinion, you have to pick and choose, when to do something completely brand new or when to do something really familiar, right? So, again, it's just like food. Do you want to try something exotic you've never had before? You might like it. You might hate it. Maybe you'll never eat at this restaurant again. Or do you want to go to that restaurant where it's, the menu, the people, it's comfort food, exactly what you want. And so for me, when I'm consuming stories and when I'm writing stories, I really like a mixture of both. I want the story to take risks and go places I'm not expecting it, but I also want some sort of like a checkpoint or anchor point, some things that I can immediately relate to, or, I'm familiar how this works. Okay, so these two met each other, had a little bit of a meet cute. That's pretty standard. So, I try to go back and forth to do something that is kind of, familiar but enjoyable and entertaining, and mixture it in with all of the other kind of brand new ideas that come later in the book. Don't mention it. Bo gestures. Okay, we already did that. Lacey slowly squeezes past Bo in the tight walkway. He turns to the side and sucks his stomach in to let her get by, nearly touching his hands on the grill behind him. She goes around the trash can and backs out to the other side of the cooking area where paper slips are dangling and baskets are sitting. Bo turns around and faces her through the baskets. She stares back at him. All the lunchroom chatter fades away, and for a moment they see each other through the steam coming up off the grill. I will say, too, that I was listening to a lot of Taylor Swift in this time period of not just writing this book, but really writing this chapter in particular, because I really feel like, there are a lot of really great romantic Taylor Swift songs that are very classic and very relatable, even though it's kind of special and unique and new to her. So that kind of essence is what I was going for in this chapter. So even though it's very classic and recognizable to us watching their relationship, it's very new and very special and very real for Bo and Lacey. So I kind of wanted to respect that as well. So shout outs to Taylor Swift. Speak Now, Taylor's version. Okay. Order up, Lacey. The manager yells at Lacey. She snaps out of it and looks at him. He shakes his head and raises his hands to gesture his frustration. Yes, orders up. She grabs 2 baskets off the shelf and goes to serve them. Bo watches her walk away and serve the customers. As he stares, he sniffs and looks down at a charred, burnt burger. He chides himself for ruining more food. I can't. My paycheck is gone, dude. So, if you don't understand what he's saying there, then maybe you've never worked in the food service industry. But he's mad because Lacey made him knock a burger basket onto the ground. And now because he was distracted looking at Lacey, he's burnt more hamburgers. And the assumption is that the food that he's ruining, he's kind of making a joke that it's going to be deducted from his paycheck. Anyway, it's the end of the day now and most of the diner is empty. The constant chatter of customers, clanking of dishes, and scorching of burgers have mostly come to an end. The occasional evening coffee or pie is usually expected now that the busy time is over. It's become overcast outside and it slowly starts to rain. Lacey is picking up some empty coffee cups when she looks out the window and sees Bo is sitting alone in the rain on the bench near the diner. Outside a few moments later, Bo is trying and failing to light up a cigarette in the rain. He leans towards the back of the seat, covers it with his hand, and attempts to blow air on it, all to no avail. While this is going on, Lacey walks out the front door, wearing her coat and carrying her purse. Bo sees that she sees him and tosses the cigarette over his shoulder. Get it out of here! Lacey looks around the empty street. What you waiting for out here? Bo hesitates. My ride? My mom's supposed to pick me up. When was she supposed to get here? Lacey asks. About an hour ago. Bo looks down, a little embarrassed. Well, I was going to wait for my dad, but if you're walking, I can walk with you if you want. Lacey's legs were tired, but for some reason it still wouldn't bother her. Bo puts it back to her to make sure. Do you want to walk? Well, not for no reason, but to help you maybe. Yeah, sure. Lacey motions for Bo to follow her. So let's just keep going. So clearly, when you're writing, at least for me, like potential romance, potential characters getting involved, which may show up again in this book, you're trying to do a lot of things because a lot of stories have been written, a lot of characters exist, a lot of audiences have seen everything and heard everything and read everything, myself included. So I'm trying to find something that feels unique to them and their situation. Small town, Blue Ridge, Wyoming, sitting on a bench, waiting for the deadbeat mom in the rain, trying to smoke a cigarette. It feels unique and special and kind of acceptable that Lacey would see this, and because her heart goes out to him, because she has a slight crush on him, because they go back to grade school and it's a small town, that it would make sense that they would get this opportunity to start connecting. Sometime later near dusk, Lacey and Bo are walking on the side of the road in the rain. Lacey is on Bo's left side so he can hear her. She continues her line of questioning. So it didn't happen in the accident? Bo shakes his head. Nope, happened before that. Honestly, didn't really have anything from the accident. Well, like physically, I mean. Lacey treads lightly. Can I ask how it happened? Bo takes a moment to gather his thoughts and inhales deeply. Yeah, sure. So my dad, before he left, he had the shortest fuse you could imagine. This one time, I was watching cartoons and he asked for the remote. And I didn't hear him because it was up too loud and I was sitting too close. So he just... And Bo motions his right hand, punching his right ear. Boom! Knocked me upside the head. If you're not going to listen, you don't need it. So yeah, I felt a pop, and the last thing I heard out of this side was like a really high-pitched sound that hurt me even more. And then it just went quiet, and that was it. Lacey is mortified. Bo, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Well, of course not, that's why you asked. And it's okay, I wouldn't have said nothing if I didn't wanna. First time anyone has actually cared to ask me, so it's good, it's fine. If you say so, she's relieved. So yeah, so Bo is also, again, kind of an outsider, away from everybody. And the fact that Lacey wants to reach out and take an interest in his life and his injury, that he's not used to that. So he's kind of happy to share. And, I wanted to show that, like, and as the conversation continues, they kind of both have their guard down a little bit. Bo remembers something about Lacey, too. Hey, when we were kids, wasn't your eye a thing? You got hurt, too, didn't you? Oh, yeah, but not from my dad or nothing. It was an accident. Lacey shares her injury story in return. I was cooking breakfast for my parents because I just love cooking and feeding people and taking care of folks, especially my folks because they're such good people. But anyway, I was frying some eggs one morning like I always did, and my mom told me to always use a lid. But I thought I knew better and had cooked them plenty of times before without them. But yeah, anyway, grease splatter shot up and hit me right in the eye. At the time, I didn't think much of it because it had happened before and I just washed it out quick. But either I was too late or it was too much. But yeah, this time things stayed really dark and fuzzy. So she got grease in her eye, and I actually had to do some online research about, like, grease in your eye, if it can actually result in blindness, how much time do you have to do anything about it if you do get grease in your eye. So that's why I kind of talked about, it had happened to her before. She knew the safety precautions, but this was too fast, too much, too hot, and it was kind of too late. Oh, so did you get it fixed or something? Because I don't see anything wrong with your eyes. I think they're perfect. Bo lets some emotion slip through as his guard continues to drop. Lacey smiles. Thanks. No, it still doesn't work right. I got a special contact to help with light sensitivity and to make my eyes look the same. Without it, I look like I'm part zombie. Lacey groans and stretches her arms out like a zombie. Bo laughs. I doubt that you can't look anything but perfect. I don't think. Sorry, I keep saying stuff like that. I know you're just being friendly. I'm trying to be friendly too, but I'm not so good at it. Lacey looks at him and reassures him. Trust me, when you say something I don't like, you'll know. So Bo being awkward, trying to be nice, but teen boys are awkward and kind of say the wrong thing. But she's forgiving because she really likes him. As Bo reaches down to try holding hands with Lacey, a police car siren plays a short blare horn from behind them. Lacey turns around first, then Bo afterward. It's her dad. They slowly both start to get in the back of the vehicle. Lacey's dad holds his hand up, motioning for her to stop and get in the front. While they drive in the rain, Lacey is in the front seat next to her dad, and Bo is in the back seat behind the glass. Lacey uses her side view mirror to look back at him. He also notices and looks at her. They smile at each other, so they use that side view mirror to look at each other while Dad's driving. The police car drives off in the rain to drop Bo off and take Lacey home. Present day. So now we are back caught up to present day. So this was my curiosity as a writer of what kind of connection, what kind of things do they have in common, and what kind of interests could they want that they would still be together and Lacey would kind of put up with his behavior. And I thought of this idea of them both having some sort of ailment or something different about them that they could empathize with each other and really connect. Nobody understands what it's like with one ear. Nobody understands what it's like with one eye. They could also kind of take slight jabs at each other and joke about it and have a sense of humor about it without it being mean-spirited. So yeah, I wanted something that really, and again, when you're young, when you're a teenager, you look for these kind of silly, meaningless things to get attached with people. Like, oh, you like the food I like. You like the music I like. And then, of course, just raw attraction plays a part too. But it all adds up for them to have a connection in their teen years. So present day, it's early dawn as the sun rises again on Blue Ridge. Joe's Diner is still here, but it's a little faded. Some of the paint's chipped and the vending machines that used to be shiny and well used are out of order. The bench Bo had sat on all those years ago is faded, splintered, and downright dangerous. The same police car that Lacey's dad used to drive pulls up, but the Blue Ridge police logo on the side is shoddily painted over. The vehicle is placed in park and the engine turns off. Now, that is not the official way that a retired police vehicle is handled. It's probably repainted, relicensed, whatever. But it's a small town, and it also kind of shows that things aren't always done the right way. And that kind of matters in the town of Blue Ridge. As the doorbell dings on the entrance, a very pregnant Lacey walks into the diner wearing a brown jacket. The morning has already started and several customers are getting their early breakfasts. Lacey scurries through them as fast as possible, making kind gestures towards people that make eye contact with her. Back where only employees are allowed, Lacey immediately takes her jacket off and walks briskly past the worn-out compactor. She tosses her coat into the faded Lacey cubby and pulls out a punch card next to the time clock. Instead of using the time cards to punch in, they are reviewed for accuracy. She's looking at the waitress, cook, and kitchen cards, ensuring everyone arrived on time at the start of their shift. She straightens her manager name tag and returns to the front lobby. So yeah, I wanted to show the passage of time. Lacey's older, the diner's older, the staff are younger, everything keeps moving forward, and Lacey's still here serving customers because we learned through that conversation with Bo for the characterization that she likes taking care of people and feeding people because her parents raised her and taught her how to make breakfast. Lacey adjusts her yellow headband and walks around the cash register to the breakfast bar area. She notices a park ranger sitting alone with coffee that's half empty. "Fill her up for you, Tommy?" she asks the park ranger that she clearly knows. "Yes, ma'am, all the way." Tommy looks up from the newspaper he was reading and nods with a smile to say thank you. He's a good-looking guy with a chiseled jaw in his early to mid-40s. He scratches his salt and pepper 5 o'clock shadow stubble as he continues reading. His park ranger outfit is bursting at the seams. It's either time for another size up or he likes how big his muscles look in this one. "Any chance you're going to try any sugar or cream today?" Lacey smiles because she knows the answer. "Not in this lifetime. Keep that contraband away from me." Tommy takes a big swig back to finish off the coffee he had before the refill. "Black and hot." "Oh, it's always hot around here. How would you park boys get anything done with cold coffee?" "Lacey, I couldn't agree more." He folds his newspaper and sets it down as Lacey turns around with a hot cup of coffee. The steam rolling off it would burn your eyes if you got too close. Tommy doesn't hesitate and takes a big drink. Lacey is briefly worried. "Wait, Tommy, let it..." Tommy finishes his gulp with a big smile. "Cool off first." "When I say hot, I mean it. Have a good day, Miss Lacey." Tommy puts his ranger hat and coat back on, standing up to prepare his exit. Lacey asks him a question before he goes. "Hey, what's all that digging y'all been doing up there? Am I going to get some peace and quiet soon?" Tommy looks confused. "Digging?" "Yeah, it's almost every night. At least it sounds like digging." Lacey is surprised Tommy doesn't know what she's talking about. Tommy has an epiphany and holds his hand to his forehead. "Oh, sorry about that. It's probably the tests we got a geologist running to make sure the volcano ain't going to blow this year. Just like it didn't blow last year, or the year before that, or the year before that. But I get some papers signed and I got one less set of eyes worrying about me. So that's all the motivation I need." Tommy tips his hat to Lacey and waves goodbye. He turns around and walks out the door, making the bell above him chime. And that is it for Chapter 4. So at the end of Chapter 4, I finally hint at some plot elements. Some digging, a geologist, Tommy not wanting eyes on him, and I knew that I had taken things at a little bit of a slow start to really focus on the characters, really get to know who they are, their past, their present. That way we could be excited and interested in their future. And now that I spent a few chapters on character, I knew that we needed to get kind of into the plot and have some outside elements start to affect these characters. So in Chapter 5, we're going to return to Madison, and then there's going to be a significant event that pushes the story forward now and starts to bring some of these characters together. So, I'm really proud of the work that I forced myself to do in these early chapters to establish the world, establish the tone, establish a real reality that has interesting things going on the edges. And if it was a movie, you'd have these picturesque sights of the mountains and the trees and the town and, kind of an eerie calmness around everything. And again, of course, we started the story with a wolf monster was hit. So we know that has to come back around at some point, and the plot will move forward in the next chapter. So yeah, the Lacey chapter was not planned, was not part of my original ideas, and it happened organically. And so something that I do is I try to plan a lot. I plan as much as I can so that I have like a safety net. But then once I get in there and I start writing, anything can happen. I let the story change. I let characters change. Ideas can develop, get crazier, get more interesting, more exciting, more scary. But I always want to start with a plan so that if I have a rough writing day, at least I can get something down. And so this chapter was like a really good example of a chapter that just happened naturally through the flow of the story, me experiencing the story as I'm writing it. I'm like, okay, hang on. Before we do anything else, before we get into the craziness of the rest of the story, what are these two doing together, and what is Lacey's story? And so I really wanted to get that out of the way. And I think there's really only one more character-focused chapter in the entire book, maybe two, but there's also a lot of kind of like more story plot elements mixed in. It's not so specifically character focused as these chapters have been. So yeah, if you are enjoying this series or enjoyed this chapter and you want to support me, please pick up the book. It's only $4.99 digital on Amazon. There's a link in the video description. If you want to stay caught up to date for the rest of the series and go through the rest of the audio, the author commentary that I'm doing here, like the videos, subscribe, and please comment your thoughts on the book, chapter appropriate. Please no future spoilers. We don't want to spoil the book for anybody else. As always, thank you for watching or listening to this, and I'll see you in the next video.